David Duckenfield's claim a Hillsborough stadium gate had been forced by Liverpool fans is of no significance to his manslaughter trial, jurors have been told. The police match commander suggested this to FA officials shortly after the tragic 1989 FA Cup semi-final had been halted due to the unfolding disaster. Judge Sir Peter Openshaw directed the jury to put this out of their minds. Concluding his summing up of the 10-week case, he referred to evidence given to the trial by Glen Kirton. Mr. Kirton, then head of external affairs at the Football Association, said he visited the police control box with boss Graham Kelly after the Liverpool v Nottingham Forest tie had been stopped. He recalled Duckenfield telling FA chief executive Mr. Kelly a gate had been forced. South Yorkshire police camera footage shows the scene outside Hillsborough's Leppings Lane turnstiles at 2:45 p.m. on the day of the stadium tragedy. Image, CPS. Addressing Mr. Kirton's evidence, Sir Peter told jurors it was not in the least surprising. Duckenfield had formed this impression. A comment suggesting this was made in the control box when some supporters entered after a brief opening of exit gate C in the build-up to the match. Hillsborough. Updates from trial of David Duckenfield and Graham Mackerel. The judge said, "I direct you in clear terms that, as the evidence has turned out in this trial, what Mr. Duckenfield said to Mr. Kirton after the match has no significance in the case at all and you should put it out of your mind." Minutes after that opening of Gate C, which had been to eject a supporter, the court has been told Duckenfield ordered the gate to be opened to relieve overcrowding outside turnstiles allocated to Liverpool fans. Around 2,000 then entered, many heading down a tunnel and into terrace pens in which a crush developed. 96 people died as a result of the disaster. Sir Peter said there was no evidence of hooliganism or drunkenness among Liverpool fans on the day of the disaster. He said it is the prosecution case. The build-up of fans outside the Leppings Lane turnstiles was a foreseeable consequence of the turnstile arrangements on April 15, 1989. Said Benjamin Myers QC, defending Duckenfield, has pointed to evidence suggesting fans arrived at the stadium later than expected. Reference was also made to defense claims made about ticketless fans potentially forging tickets, looking to buy from touts or attempting to con their way in. The judge gave a summary of the events of the day in which he referred to evidence given by Liverpool fans caught in the crush and Dolores Steele, Trevor Hicks and Barry Devonside, parents who were at the game and lost teenage children in the disaster. He also referred to evidence heard about the situation in the police control box. Court artist sketch by Elizabeth Cook of Hillsborough match commander David Duckenfield, left, and former Sheffield Wednesday club secretary Graham Mackerel appearing at Preston Crown Court. Mr. Duckenfield is accused of the manslaughter by gross negligence of 95 Liverpool supporters at the 1989 FA Cup semi-final, and Mr. Mackerel is charged with a health and safety offence. Elizabeth Cook, PA Wire. Image, PA. While the prosecution argued Duckenfield should have foreseen problems and then considered where fans would go if Gate C was to be opened, the judge added it was the defense case that Duckenfield was surrounded by experienced matchday officers whose advice he was entitled to rely on. Those officers included Superintendent Bernard Murray, who assured Duckenfield fans outside the turnstiles 30 minutes before kickoff would get in for the start of the match. Sir Peter said, "The prosecution say Mr. Murray made the same faults and is open to the same criticism as Mr. Duckenfield. Both of them failed to foresee what should have been obvious to both of them, and the fact Mr. Murray was also at fault does not provide Mr. Duckenfield with a defense if he meets the tests as I have set them out in my direction of law to you." Mr. Myers, on behalf of Mr. Duckenfield, says this approach is fundamentally unfair and unreasonable. He relied upon Mr. Murray's experience. Duckenfield is charged with a gross negligence manslaughter of 95 fans. He is not charged in connection with the death of the 96th supporter to pass away, Tony Bland. This is because laws at the time prevented prosecution when someone died more than 366 days after being injured. Mr. Bland died in 1993. Both he and Mackerel deny the allegations against them. Proceedings will resume on Monday.